Lima, the capital of Peru, for many travelers is simply a stopover, a city passed through on the way to somewhere else. But after spending a couple of days exploring Lima, I discovered a city with far more to offer than most people realize. Miles of clifftop walks above the Pacific Ocean, 500 years of history in a single square, 25,000 souls buried beneath the city streets, stunning cathedrals, outstanding museums filled with ancient treasures, markets bursting with colour and tradition, and a neighbourhood that turned its walls into art. This is one of South America's most fascinating cities. In this video on Travel, See, Explore, we're exploring the 8 best things to do in Lima, and we'll begin where the city meets the ocean. One of the first places I recommend visiting in Lima is the Malecón de Miraflores. It's a coastal promenade that runs along the city's famous cliffs, high above the Pacific Ocean, offering some of the best views in Lima. But don't be mistaken, this is much more than just a coastal walkway. It's a continuous stretch of parks, gardens and green spaces that follows the coastline for about 6 miles, connecting 3 of Lima's most popular neighbourhoods: San Isidro in the north, Miraflores in the middle where we are, and Barranco in the south. The best part is that you can join the path at almost any point and simply follow it along the coast. Along the way you'll find cafes, viewpoints and plenty of places to stop, relax and enjoy the scenery. 2 of the most popular parks along the Malecón are Parque del Amor, home to El Beso, a famous sculpture of a couple embracing, and a little further along you'll find Feria la Marina, that striking blue and white striped lighthouse that has become a symbol of the coastline. Both are great places to pause and take in the views. And beyond the views and parks, there's plenty more to do here. You can cycle along the dedicated bike path that follows the coastline. Take a tandem paragliding flight from Parque Antonio Raimondi right here along the cliffside in Miraflores and glide out over the Pacific Ocean, or head down to Costa Verde beaches below the cliffs if you fancy trying surfing. For a more relaxed stop, larcomar is one of the most popular places along the Malecón. It's an open-air shopping centre built directly into the cliffside, with restaurants, cafes and shops, as well as fantastic views over the ocean. It's a great place to take a break, grab something to eat or simply enjoy the surroundings. And if you can, try to stay until the evening. As the sun begins to set, the entire coastline glows, making it one of the most beautiful sunset spots in all of Lima. A park filled with over 100 cats probably isn't what you expect to find in the middle of Miraflores, but that's exactly what makes Kennedy Park one of Lima's most unusual attractions. At first glance, it looks like any ordinary city park, but look a little closer and you'll notice cats everywhere, stretched out on the grass, curled up on benches, or simply watching people pass by. The story goes that back in the 1990s, the park had a serious rat problem. So local residents began bringing their cats in to help. The rats disappeared, the cats stayed. Today, a local volunteer group takes care of them. If you're a cat person, you're going to love this place, and even if you're not, it's still such a unique thing to see right in the middle of a busy city. But Kennedy Park is more than just a home for cats. On one side of the park stands a beautiful Catholic church built in the 1930s. If you get the chance, step inside. The stained glass windows are especially impressive. The park is also right in the centre of Miraflores, making a great starting point for exploring the neighbourhood. From here, you're surrounded by cafes, restaurants, shops and local markets, all within walking distance. Even if you're just passing through, Kennedy Park is an interesting stop to add to your walk around Miraflores. If you're looking for the perfect souvenir or simply enjoy exploring local markets and shops, one of the best places to visit is Avenida Petit Trois in Miraflores. It's essentially an entire stretch of artisan markets running across several blocks, with one market leading right into the next. You'll find that each one feels more colourful than the last, and the variety here is incredible. You can find almost anything from alpaca knitwear and textiles to jewellery, ceramics, artwork and so much more. You name it and you'll most likely find it here. Some of the most popular markets are the Indian Market, Inca Plaza and Inca Market, but there are loads of smaller stores and shops in between that are worth checking out too. Even if you're not planning on buying anything, it's still a great place to wander. It's one of the best ways to soak up the local culture, meet the artisans and get a real taste of what makes Lima so unique. If you really want to understand Lima, you have to go back thousands of years, long before the Spanish ever arrived. One of the best places to do that is the Museo Larco. It's one of the most fascinating museums in Lima, and you find it in a quiet neighbourhood of Pueblo Libre. When you first arrive, the building itself is pretty impressive. Museo Larco is housed inside a beautiful white 18th century colonial mansion, surrounded by colourful gardens and flowers covering the building. But what makes it even more fascinating is that the building itself was built on top of a 7th century pre-Columbian pyramid. The museum was founded in 1926 by archaeologist Rafael Larco Hoyle and is considered one of the most important museums in Lima. Inside, the galleries take you on a journey through 5,000 years of the history of Peru, from the early civilizations right through to the Inca Empire. There's a lot to see here, but some of the highlights for me was incredible pottery that offers a glimpse into everyday life in ancient Peru, along with a remarkable collection of textiles and exquisite gold and silver jewellery worn by the ancient rulers. You even find the museum's famous and very candid erotic gallery. These are just a few of the highlights among the many fascinating exhibits. But one of the most remarkable parts of the museum is something you rarely get to see anywhere else: the storage rooms. Instead of keeping most of the collection hidden away, they're open to visitors. You can walk through rows and rows of shelves holding around 30,000 catalogue ceramic pieces, all carefully organised and on display. It almost feels like stepping behind the scenes of the museum. And when you've finished exploring, there's a cafe out on the terrace overlooking the gardens. It's a perfect place to stop for a coffee or bite to eat. Enjoy the beautiful surroundings before heading to your next stop. This is Plaza Mayor, the historical heart of Lima, and one of the best places to start exploring the old city. When you walk into the square, you're surrounded by historical buildings all around you, and this is where Lima began. In 1535, Francisco Pizarro founded the city here, originally naming it the City of Kings. It later became known simply as Lima. Over the centuries, Lima grew into one of the most important cities in the Spanish Empire. And today, you can still see that history all around the square. At one end of the plaza is the government palace, still the centre of Peru's political power today. And every day around midday, right at those gates, the changing of the guard ceremony takes place. It's completely free and well worth timing your visit for. Across the square is Lima Cathedral, one of the city's most important religious buildings. Inside is the tomb of Francisco Pizarro himself. So if you're interested in the history of Lima, this is one I recommend going inside. We'll take a closer look at the cathedral in the next stop. And right next to it is the Archbishop's Palace, which is particularly easy to recognise because of its beautifully carved wooden balconies. You'll notice these balconies throughout the historical centre, and they were once a symbol of wealth and status during the colonial period. Today, they're one of the features that gives old Lima so much of its character. But for me, the best way to experience this part of Lima is not to stay in the square. Once you've had a look around, I recommend walking into the streets surrounding Plaza Mayor. You'll find colonial buildings, courtyards and old churches tucked away from the main square. And it's here that the historical centre starts to feel a little less like a tourist attraction and more like a real part of the city. One street I definitely recommend walking is Juan de la Union. It's a busy pedestrian street lined with shops, cafes and restaurants, and it takes you towards Plaza San Martin, another beautiful historical square that's well worth seeing. And while you're in the area, there are two museums nearby. Both are excellent stops if you want to go deeper into the city's history and culture. Right here in the heart of Plaza Mayor is the Cathedral Basílica of Lima, one of the oldest and most important cathedrals in Peru. Its story dates back to 1535, when Francisco Pizarro founded Lima and laid the first stones of this cathedral. It's been rebuilt and changed over the centuries, but it still dominates the square today. The first thing you'll notice when you walk in is the sheer size of the building. This cathedral was built to reflect the city's wealth, influence and power. Inside you'll find 13 chapels lining both sides of the cathedral. Each chapel varies in style, some simple, other more richly decorated, all worth a closer look as you pass by. One of the most important chapels is the one near the entrance, where you'll find the tomb of Francisco Pizarro himself, the man who founded Lima. But there is much more to see beyond the chapels. There are also several rooms displaying religious art, historical artifacts and treasures from the cathedral's long history. Among the highlights are the vestments worn by Pope John Paul II during his visits to Peru. Even more fascinating is what lies beneath the cathedral floor. There are 3 crypts that you can head down into. This is where several important historical figures are buried, and while it's a little eerie down there, it's fascinating to see. And perhaps the most unexpected part is through a small courtyard, a staircase leads up to a library filled with rare historical and religious books. It's a quiet part of the cathedral that not many visitors realise is here. And finally, it's worth mentioning that there is a small entrance fee to enter the cathedral. Given everything inside, it's well worth the visit. Beneath the streets of Lima lies a network of tunnels holding the remains of over 25,000 people. And right above it stands one of the city's most fascinating landmarks, the Church and Convent of San Francisco, located just a short walk from Plaza Mayor in the historical centre. The church is what you notice first, the yellow facade and the twin bell towers. It was built mainly in the 17th century and is a great example of Spanish colonial architecture. Inside, the church is just as impressive, and it's completely free to enter. The interior is richly decorated with ceilings covered in detailed geometric patterns, walls filled with religious paintings and gold-covered altars everywhere you look. There's a clear mix of Spanish and Islamic influence in the design, which gives it a really unique feel compared to other churches. Even after centuries, it still serves as an active place of worship for the local community. But the experience really begins next door in the monastery, which can only be visited as part of a paid guided tour. You'll walk through quiet cloisters where beautiful Sevillian tiles line the lower walls, while centuries-old paintings cover the upper walls. Along the way, you'll pass peaceful courtyards and rooms where monks once lived, prayed and studied. From here, you'll reach the library, home to more than 25,000 religious and historical volumes. And then comes the part everyone comes to see, the catacombs beneath the monastery. As you descend into the narrow, dimly lit passages, you'll see rows of human remains, skulls and bones arranged in geometric patterns. Before modern cemeteries existed in Lima, this underground network of tunnels was used for burials until 1810. Around 25,000 people, and some believe even more, were laid to rest here. It's eerie, genuinely unsettling, and without a doubt, one of the most unique experiences you can have in Lima's historical centre. This is Barranco, Lima's bohemian neighbourhood, one of the most colourful and creative parts of the city, and one of my favourite areas of Lima. Just south of Miraflores and right along the coast, Barranco feels completely different from the rest of Lima. It's slower, more relaxed and full of character, with beautiful old buildings, colourful streets and a thriving art scene, and it's a lovely place to explore on foot. The area is filled with art galleries, cafes, boutique shops and some of Lima's best restaurants. And if you happen to visit on a weekend, the neighbourhood becomes even more lively, with artisan stores and small markets appearing throughout the streets. One place worth checking out is La Feria, the Barranco's art and crafts market. It's only a short walk from the main square, and it's a great place to browse handmade crafts, local artwork and enjoy some really tasty street food. But one of the things I liked most about Barranco was the street art. You'll see murals everywhere, covering walls, staircases and even random corners. Walking through here, the whole neighbourhood feels like one massive open-air gallery, and it's one of the things that makes Barranco so unique. As you continue walking through the neighbourhood, you'll eventually reach one of Barranco's most famous landmarks, the Bridge of Sighs. This wooden pedestrian bridge dates back to 1876 and has become one of the most recognisable spots in Barranco. There's even a local tradition that if you make a wish and hold your breath all the way across the bridge, your wish will come true. I didn't exactly test whether that works, but it's still a fun little part of the experience. And around the bridge itself, you'll find small markets and stores, and it's a lovely part of the neighbourhood to explore. And from here, you can continue down Bajada de la Baños. This beautiful pathway leads towards the coast, and as you make your way down, you start getting glimpses of the Pacific Ocean. For me, this is one of the best ways to experience Barranco because you get a bit of everything: the colourful streets, the artwork, the historical buildings, and eventually the coastline. So, if you're staying in Lima for a few days, I would definitely recommend making time for Barranco. If you have some extra time in Lima, I've also listed a few other places you might be interested in visiting. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough time to see them all, but hopefully you'll have the chance to explore them on your trip. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. It really helps us to keep creating more travel content for you. We'll see you at our next destination. In the meantime, enjoy your travels.